All right, we are live.
Awesome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tech Talk with T&E and our super guest today, Mad Singers. Wanted to welcome you. Thank you for popping in, even though you're on the other side of the world. Thanks for making time for us.
Yep, always good to pop in and say hello. So
Love
yeah,
it. Love it. For those of you that may not know, Mads has been a presenter and a speaker at some of our other conferences and always has some amazing things to share. I definitely agree and am in alignment with his philosophy on employees because that is the backbone of your business. And we got to make sure we have really, really good people that we love and appreciate our people because they take care of us. So
Yep.
definitely appreciate your perspective. Um, so thank
yep,
you. Thank you for coming in and sharing all your wisdom with us.
yeah. I speak at many SEO events every year, but I'm one of the few people who don't talk much about SEO. So um, I might know a bunch about it, but I try and never talk about it in public. So yeah, but
Nice. Well, there's more to running a business than, linking and keywords. So,
what I typically say is that most people, they think that they know a lot of SEO, and they think by knowing like a tiny bit more, that's the missing piece. But the
Hmm.
problem is when you look at their business knowledge or their leadership knowledge and management skills, they're down here somewhere, and they can
yeah.
learn a lot of stuff in a very short span of time that can really grow their business. So I think a lot of SEOs kind of get stuck in the area they're comfortable with, which is SEO.
Hmm.
And there's a big difference between being a great SEO and being versus being a great CEO. That is not the exact same skill sets. So that is what
I
I spend a lot of
absolutely
time on.
agree with that. Like, emphatically. Like, because you can't fulfill your way to a multi-million dollar agency, right?
No, but
Right.
yeah. So my goal this year is I'm coaching a lot of agencies, and I'd say the last year, probably year and a half, there definitely been a lot of agencies really struggling, and I'm gonna take everything that I know and put into the presentation from a business side on how to run an effective agency, not from an SEO standpoint, but the business side of things. And I'm gonna not necessarily dumb it down, but I'm gonna explain it as simple as I can to really help all the agency owners out there and people who are looking to start an agency, um, really how to win and how to succeed. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I
No,
agree.
I love that. We're trying to not just stay within our little SEO community, but we want to branch out to other business owners. So I feel like that's a very relatable topic that a lot of people can resonate with, and it doesn't necessarily apply to just SEO or digital marketing. It could be any type of business or agency.
yeah, yeah, and honestly, it's relevant to any kind of business, right? But a large proportion of the clients I have is in the agency world. So I think nearly 40% of my client base is currently agencies. So
Hmm.
those are definitely the ones I see hurting a lot, and they're really struggling to grow at the moment. And obviously, when the financial climate is tough, um, you know, you got to do the right things to not just survive but to thrive as
Hmm.
well. So.
For sure. Yeah. Hey, Randy. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Um, I think. What do you think's changed the most in the last just 12 months with
Oh,
hiring
AI,
and
AI,
AI?
100%.
So, are you using AI any in
Oh,
what you do? I mean, I'm sure you
a
are,
ton,
but
a ton. Yeah,
yeah.
everything. I mean, I own multiple companies, so we have six businesses in total. But yeah, AI is definitely a game changer. Um, I would say your best people become way more valuable because they can do way more stuff. So I see a lot of people is afraid of AI, but I just see AI as an enhancer, right? Like
Mm.
I don't really see it as a, hey, we're gonna go and fire half our staff. I just look at our staff and say, well, great, we can do 10 times the amount of work. So that's sort of my approach to it, right? And obviously there's a learning curve, but again, with AI, like things just go so fast, right? Like I know nothing about development, but I've built multiple plugins and I've built multiple things, and it's, so many things are possible and doable now, which is which to some extent impact the business side of things, right? Because fundamentally running a business, there's a lot of things to know and understand, and nowadays, like even if you take, if you have a bookkeeper and you take your monthly finances and plug it into AI and say, hey, what should I be aware of here? You might actually get some decent advice and guidance that you wouldn't have got in the past, right? So, so there's a lot of opportunities with AI. There's a lot of asking for advice and different kind of business situations and so on can be helpful. Again, it's not always accurate. It's not always great advice, but sometimes some advice is better than none advice. So
yeah, 100%. Have you played around much with the AI avatar assistant type things out there that will go to your do stuff for you automated? We haven't gone down that road yet, and I'm curious because obviously at spring training this year we actually have an automation room for a breakout room and an AI room for a breakout room, and a lot of people are doing some really cool stuff with just helping their everyday stuff they do.
Yeah, I mean, we do a ton of automations. I would say, I mean, AI is great in terms of automation, but I think actually the biggest thing that have happened is automations themselves. Like many of the tools that have come out, actually many automations doesn't really have AI in them.
Exactly.
But it's just a lot of it is just setting up automations and really building out solid workflows, and even like we've used Go High Level for many years, right? But utilizing Go High Level in a good way, and just thinking, people start thinking more in workflows and automations, and I think that's incredibly valuable for many businesses, because there is a lot that can be gained, right? What I would caution a little bit about is I see a lot of people building out a ton of automations of stuff they never tested. So
yeah,
our philosophy is very simple. We take stuff we know that work, and then we automate it. We don't build all sorts of cool automations for stuff that brings no value. And I've seen a lot of people spending a lot of time, and obviously there's a learning curve in it, right? So I'm not saying it's necessarily a waste of time, but my philosophy is take an existing working process and see how you can automate either parts of it or the entire thing, right?
exactly.
Because again, if you have a person right now spending 4 hours doing something, if 80% of it can be automated, they can cut down that time significantly and do way more in the same time. So.
Well, we saw a lot of that when apps first came out. I had quite a few people that came and said, well, we need an app. And my first question is what do you want it to do? Like, you can't just have an app to have an app. It has to serve a purpose, and it has to provide a value. So I do see a lot of that with AI. It's like, oh, let's use AI. It's like, okay, well, what do you want it to do?
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, it's exciting times, and yeah, the development right now is insane, right? So stuff definitely goes really, really fast, and yeah, I would say we have a lot of people working on this stuff, and it's hard for them to keep up. So always, and it's going like this. So it's not like, oh, there's a bit more, a bit more, a bit more. There's 7,000 new things every day, and yeah, it's interesting, exciting times.
Well, awesome. Now you just got done with your event.
Yep.
What, a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, 3 weeks ago now. 3 weeks ago now.
So I get this question all the time. Why did you start your event?
Yep. Very simple. I wanted to build the best SEO conference in the world. And I wanted to do it because I go to a lot of events all around the world. And my experience, most event organizers are great. But I really, because I've seen so many events, I've seen a lot of let's call it best practices and so on, right? So my whole goal with the event is really put together an event that I think is quality-wise probably the best in the world, which is it's not necessarily about the size, because a lot of the time, like many events you'll see in US, for example, they do many of these, I call them trade show events, where you have 5,000 people and no one gets to know anyone they actually need to know, and it's just about having a ton of sponsors that pay a lot of money and so on, right? I'm not a fan of those, but in terms of providing value to people, particularly with connections, right? So we limit our audience at 400 every time. So we sell 400 tickets, and typically we try and get a return rate of maximum 50%, so that there's 200 new people. And we spend a lot of effort really making sure we get high quality people at the event. And that's honestly, we purposefully do ours in Asia. And the reason we do that is it helps us keep the quality of audience very high, because most people don't travel halfway around the world if they're not serious about it. And most people don't send 20 staff members halfway around the world.
Yeah.
Whereas when I go to many of the events in Europe, if you go to something like Brighton SEO or something, it's all staff members, and you can find some great people amongst them for sure, but it's not decision makers. It's not the really high level people, and that's the big benefit for me in having an event halfway around the world. So
yeah, that's awesome.
But it's hard. I mean, running an event is not a little weekend job. Like
Nope.
takes.
I mean, that's the whole thing.
Effort.
A lot of people that think these things are easy and they do their first one, don't do the second one.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I have a team now. I probably have maybe 7 or 8 people working on the event, right? So definitely, yeah.
Yeah, that's where we're going next year. We're tired of doing this ourselves.
Yeah, it is a lot of work, but so the things I focus on primarily is the speakers, right? So making sure we get the right speakers. We have a great speaker coach, Adam, that helps me out a lot in terms of making sure the presentations are at the right quality, and my goal, what I always tell our speakers, is I want them to do the best presentation they have ever done at our event. And I do that to hype them up a little bit, but also, I am very keen on always trying to push people to take it to the next level. There's people who kind of travel around the world and do the same presentation 27 times.
Yep.
And I'm generally keen on people. I mean, if they do that, they do it at ours as the first one. So we're very keen on not getting presentations that people are doing in a bunch of other places, to make sure that it's unique. And then probably the hardest thing is finding new good speakers. So I'm very keen. Like we tend to not have any repeat speakers, or maybe the best speaker from the previous event, but we try and get a whole new lineup every time. And it obviously takes a lot of time and effort finding great new speakers every time and so on.
Yeah.
Last year I was at 22 conferences, saw a ton of speakers, and it's there's definitely a lot of time and effort going into finding great speakers, right?
And that it is the whole thing. I mean, we're blessed. I mean, this year I had 83 people want to speak. So last year was about 70 something. Each year it's, and I'm getting a lot more. I got a lot more this year from LinkedIn, because I really didn't do much with LinkedIn except for this year. So, and of course, my big thing is I kind of have to know what they're going to do before I just say, hey, never heard of you, Bob, hey, come over and, speak at our event. So I think it is, as far as I'm concerned, Elisabeth does everything but the stage and speakers, which is 90% of it. But this year I actually had some help. I had, Cato and Clint and who else? I can't remember.
Chad.
Anyways, who?
Chad Michael.
Yeah, Chad Michael. And so I had a little bit of help at the beginning, because ours is interesting because we only do stage in the morning, and then we have 4 breakout rooms in the afternoon. So, so I'm, and I like that choose your adventure type of plan. It's just, I've got to have the right people, and people do multiple, right? I got people that would be good in the SEO room, the automation room. They'll be good pretty much anywhere. And then like you, I always try to introduce new people like Nathan Goff. He's never spoke before. So, and he's very, very well known in the industry. So those are the type of people that I'm just like, hey, have you ever thought about being on stage, So, but I do think that, Randy just asked, I was going to ask what's the hardest part. And it is, part of it for me though, is the personal thing. I mean, I've got people I would love to have every year, but and I've got people that got upset with me because I didn't invite them the second year or whatever, and that's probably because I do take things a little personal. And that's probably why the biggest thing that I try when I look and see who I want to invite, it's like, okay, well, this person did great a couple years ago. He does great, still doing great things, or, this, because this year, we got Campbell, Dooley, and freaking Hudson coming over for affiliate. I've never done an affiliate panel, even though I think it's super important. And so, but that type of stuff, I think I don't really call it stressful. I call it my giant chessboard. My giant chessboard still's not over yet. Cause 3 weeks before the event, hey, I can't make it for one reason or another, or, hey, I'd rather be over here. And so my giant chessboard's still moving.
Plenty of those. So we had, this year we had 4 reserve speakers, and let's just say they all came into use. So yeah,
good deal.
Yeah, stuff happens. But I'd say personally, the hardest part, I mean, picking speakers doesn't have to be hard. You can pick some random people and just hope things go. But if you want to run a good event, that's probably not that's probably not the way to go, right? So really find the right people. And again, like last year, 22 events. I went around to a lot of events and saw a lot of speakers too.
Yeah.
Trying to pick the right ones. But I'm also very keen. Like there's many big events, right? And I'm also keen. I don't want to have lineups that look like any other lineups. So I'm very, very keen to find new people. And I've find some Europeans, some Americans, some Australians, some Asians. So getting people from all the different communities, because one of the things I see a lot is that there's big difference in how people do things. So when I talk to a local SEO guy in the UK, and I talk to one in the US, and I talk to one in Australia, they all have very different ways of doing things. And I'm very keen at our event to really mix that stuff up big time, right? So because sometimes it's not necessarily better or worse, but people just have very different ways of getting to similar outputs, right? So.
Oh, 100%. And we kind of had an advantage at a very bad time when we had to switch to digital right before COVID. Our conference was literally 3 weeks away when they shut down for COVID, and we turned it into a digital event, which turned into an 8-day conference with 72 speakers. I mean, it was massive. And that's when I learned another thing is value of topics. I had one guy come on and he's teaching people how to be a narc SEO, and I'm getting all these private messages going, why is this guy talking about this stuff? And I'm like, I had no idea. It wasn't what he told me he was going to talk about. And so, yeah, and that's just, like I said, it's a crazy thing to, first of all, I think you have to be halfway insane to want to do these events, because it is an outlay. I mean, our outlay is big before you start selling tickets, and it's just like everything's a kind of a risk. And, we've all been to events that didn't go as planned. It's kind of obvious. But, we really try to make sure the value, just like you, we're all about value, because we know if you're going to spend $5,000, I want you to get $50,000 out of it. That's the whole thing, so, because we know the cost is there. But Randy brings up another point, Elisabeth, what's your hardest part on your side of the fence?
I don't know. Like I'm a detail person anyway. So for me, making sure that, I have lists upon lists upon lists of what is this contingency and what is this supposed to look like? Like, that's pretty consistent with me and how I operate. So I don't know that that's necessarily a hard thing. If I was not a detail oriented person, I'd probably be freaking out.
Well, dealing with the hotel always is, part of your.
Venues is an adventure on its own.
Yeah.
It's an adventure, but I've learned to basically not listen to what they say and watch what they do, but that's just a key component of interacting with people in general. I wouldn't necessarily say that's a venue thing, but yeah, we always try to stay at the hotel anonymously before we talk to them about booking an event, because we want to know what it's like as a guest. And, we tend to poke around the property. We've been known to open doors and what's in here and what's.
Hey, you're not allowed to be in there. Sorry.
Oh, so sorry. Sorry. I was just checking it out. So, but that's the fun part. For me, I know last year was a little intense, and God, I got to give Brian Cotto a billion points of credit for helping me out, because not only did we have AV challenges, we had website challenges, and he just jumped in and helped out. And that was like, the first 20 minutes of day one. So that's usually the stressful part for me, is when the event's actually going on, and does everything that I planned fall in line, or is something going sideways and I have to look at a contingency plan? I don't know.
Yeah, and last year was the first year we did live stream, and
that's
we're
the
not
last
doing that
year.
It's the last year we'll do live stream. Live stream was people don't realize, it sounds so easy, but when you're reliant on the hotel internet, and we had some backups with, personal cubes and all these things, but the live stream was probably the hardest thing. And I know, like Dory, she does live stream every year, so she does pretty well with that. But
I'm not a fan of those. I think I have two views. I think in one way that the value of events is the networking, right? I mean,
100%.
I think fundamentally the presentations are great to get people talking and share some knowledge that way. But for me, it's all about the networking, and I think people who would buy an online ticket are missing out on the most important aspect. I think that's the main reason why I'm not really a fan of the. We record all our presentations and we share them with all the audience that is at the event afterwards, right? And I always tell people, I mean, go and watch the key speakers you're super excited about, but I always tell them, spend more time outside the main hall and do some talking with some people and do some networking, because you're surrounded by people that you don't meet every day, right? So it's a really, really great opportunity to meet people and so on. And like we're using an event app at our event called Hoover, and people can schedule their own small meetups and all like that around the event as well. So we have typically, like the week before the event, people start coming to town and scheduling meetups. That's very.
That's
a
we'll
big
have to
thing
talk
for
to
me.
you more about that, because we definitely want to have something like that. We have our our itinerary and all that stuff, and QR codes on the badges and all this stuff. But I want to have some way that people can contact, minus Facebook, that they can contact each other and schedule stuff. And that sounds really awesome. I was curious. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying that the big thing is even things like lunch, right? If someone is like, I'm big time into PPC right now, I want to talk with someone on Google Ads, who want to have lunch with me, and even that those kind of small meetups just to connect with people, right? They're really great. So.
Yep, I agree. So I was just curious on the conferences over there on your side of the world. How is the language barrier? I mean, if somebody, like, I don't speak anything but English, so is it kind of odd for some? Because I know people, languages are everywhere, but
no, I mean, my Danish doesn't give me much benefit out here, so that's
okay.
No, but again, we have people from everywhere, right? Like we have a lot of Europeans, so had a good bunch of Ukrainians this year. Quite a lot of Ukrainians. We have Spanish, Portuguese, Turkish. We have people coming in from everywhere, right? So lots of different countries, but everyone speaks a certain level of English because
Mm-hmm.
you know our website is only in English, the speech is only in English. So if you don't speak English, it's probably not worthwhile being at the event. So.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know if people had little, translators in their ear.
I purposefully don't do it. A lot of events in Europe, when you go to certain countries, they do that a lot, but I don't do it because, again, for me, the value is networking. And if you don't speak the language everyone else at the event is speaking, then there's no point, right? So,
Yeah, that's for sure. So that's cool though. I mean, and it's right. I mean, the whole networking is what it's all about.
yeah.
One of the reasons why Elizabeth and I stay at these hotels is just for that. Where can people hang out? How close are restaurants? How much of a pain in the butt is it to go to a good steakhouse? And so, and I think a lot of people, and that's one of the reasons why I don't really like events in Vegas. I just think Vegas is just everybody's staying everywhere else and nobody's staying in one place. There's really not places you can hang out and sit unless it's a casino type thing. So when we go to Vegas at events, we typically will team up with people and 3 or 4 other couples or people and say, hey, let's all stay here so at least we can hang out.
Yeah.
Traffic and conversions was like that. I think there was like 6,000 people.
It's
So it gets crazy. So, and I went there to see this one lady talk about Pinterest, and I just wanted to meet her afterwards and just ask her a couple questions. And it was in one of their breakout rooms that had 1,000 people in it. And of course, I never got near her, and she just took off. And after she was done speaking and gone, somebody said she left the event right afterwards, and I was like, "Well, dang it!"
yeah.
So, but that's a cool thing. So what are you looking forward to the most about? I mean, not just because you do a lot of traveling. Are you excited to come back to the States? And
I'm always I usually come most years to the States, and always good to see my friends, and usually do a good little tour with US, Mexico, Canada, and so on to catch up with a lot of friends and clients and do a bunch of events, and that's good. I'm super excited for that, and have a couple of client trainings I'm doing. One actually in Vegas and one in Vancouver uh, at the end of the month. So yeah.
right on. That's pretty freaking cool. So Elizabeth, what else you want to talk about? What else you got? I was kind of hoping a couple more of the speakers would have been able to do, but we'll get them tomorrow.
No, it's okay. Mads has got enough value for everybody.
Oh,
I promise. You said that you are involved in 6 different businesses, and what are some consistent things across the board that you run into, whether it's challenges or, organization or whatever? What are some of the key things that you can share with us that you're always dealing with?
Well, my biggest challenge is I have a lot of great people. No, no, but
a great problem to have.
most things become a lot easier when you have great people, right? So I invest a lot of time and effort into making sure we have great teams and so on. And for me, this is probably where many business owners sit down and say, I don't know how to hire, so let me not do it, or let me just try something or whatever. But very many business owners and many managers in companies even don't really invest a lot of time in learning how to recruit well and how to get great people working for them. But honestly, great people, as I'm sure you guys know, it just makes everything else so much easier, right? So
Oh yeah, definitely.
the only way
I know that there's people out there with different onboarding, different testing, different structures. Like, there's some people that are highly invested in traction. I know people that are other management styles. I know DISC tests and Colby tests. Do you have anything that is consistent and standard for you across your companies, or does it just depend on the industry?
Yeah, so we use the best tool in the world when it comes to people management, which is called HeyRamp, which is obviously our tool. But that is built specifically to do one-to-ones, performance reviews, and disc test. So I'm a huge fan of disc. I generally not necessarily personality tests on their own, but where discs stand out is that you can learn to just look at people and from just looking at them, understand them. So whereas with most tests, you have to get people to do a test, and then the result is only as good as they know themselves. And particularly in hiring situations, people tend to answer what they think you want to hear and all that kind of stuff, right? So the benefit with Disc is the team can learn to work with people, spend a few minutes in a room with someone, and that's enough for them to understand the personality type, and that's a good starting point in terms of seeing, is this a potential or is that not a potential, and so on. Because different kind of roles in the company need different types of people, right?
Right.
So that's definitely a key across our businesses, that that we do that. But for me, the biggest management tool, so I spoke about that last year, not last year, the year before, at spring training, which is about one-to-ones, right? So actually making sure you talk with the people who report directly to you on a regular basis. And again, many business owners are very busy, so skip out of that. But the thing is, again, if you want to build a great team, the most valuable place to spend time is with them. Because if you're so busy doing things that you don't have time for your team, stuff ain't gonna grow, right? Or it's gonna
Yeah.
be really, really slow. So I'm always, if I'm busy, it's because I'm not giving enough responsibility to my team. So if I don't have the time to spend with my team, that is an indication that I'm doing too much and I'm the bottleneck. And my rule is very simple: whenever I am the bottleneck, the company got a problem, because
I don't know if we're unusual in this aspect, but we believe strongly in cross training and over developing our people. But I know that there are some people out there that kind of keep their teams compartmentalized. So like one person doesn't know everything. What's your philosophy on that?
well, so taking a step back, so organizations in general exist for the specialization of labor, right? So what that means is that the whole reason you have a company and an organization is, if you have to train one person to do SEO, you're going to spend 5 years, right, or 3 years or whatever. That's a really long time to invest in someone to get them to where they need to be. So organization exists for the specialization of labor, but obviously you want to grow and develop people over time. So if you hire someone to just do link building, they might not want to, they will very likely not want to do link building for 17 years in a row, right? So
Why not?
obviously, well, some people probably will, but most people like learning and growing, right? So it's always a good balance between learning and growth, and giving people more skill sets and so on. So fundamentally, again, organization exists to break down things into workable, executable chunks. And the reason why that's critically important, and I will talk a little bit about that this year, but the reason why that's critically important is because you want to have a quick way to train up people and make them valuable very quickly. So if you can train up a brand new staff member who have never heard about SEO before, if you can make them valuable in 1 to 2 weeks, that enables you to scale as a company way faster and way better. And it makes you less vulnerable if people are leaving and stuff like that, right? So that's some of the stuff that's important. So really breaking things down into, I always say that companies need to figure out what their process is, and that's typically a workflow, right? So, but something repeatable that they execute again and again, and you want to break that down and so on. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. As a business owner, if we're too busy to invest time and energy in our people, we're not going to get the best results, because we have to cultivate them the way we want them to do things. And that is, I believe, a lot of one-on-one training and consulting and cultivating.
And well, I think the hardest thing, at least for me as a business owner, is letting go some of the tasks that I shouldn't be doing.
Heck yeah, that's hard for
Um,
you.
I mean, I actually enjoy doing on page, but I have no business doing it.
Right. So, but here's the like the mindset and the understanding is key, right? So, if you know that for every hour you're doing on page, you're costing the company $1,000. In many cases, that helps people stop doing stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
Because it fundamentally every time, I mean, it happens to everyone. It definitely happens to me as well. But every time we go in and do stuff that we have no business doing, we're holding back the growth of the company because we're holding back the growth of the people who should be doing it. We are spending our time at the wrong stuff, right? There's always more important things we could be doing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the core thing. So my mindset and the way I kick my own ass is, and my team kicks my ass is sometimes they say, "Hey, Mass, are you costing the company $1,000 an hour right now?" And that's yeah,
That's
that's the mindset.
that's pretty good.
Thank you, Mads.
It's
Help
a
him to see that.
Yeah,
it's a good way to get me stop doing stuff. Let's say it that way. So
yeah,
Yep.
that's awesome.
Very
Yeah,
good.
good deal.
Very good.
excellent.
So, what are some great takeaways from your event? I know that you've wrapped it up, and I know you guys probably have a post-event meeting of what was great, what wasn't great. So, what are some of your takeaways?
Yeah, we had some amazing speakers. Actually, one of my personal favorites didn't talk about SEO. He talked about PPC. The good
Nice.
Hernan Vasquez. He killed it, but he definitely got the wheels in motion for a couple of our businesses. So we are we're in the game of PPC a little bit more now. Basically, sort of high level, what he was saying is that a lot of people with PPC they're trying to make these big funnels and build out this complex stuff, but really what he's saying is he's just stacking sort of $5 and $10 offers and really just building a machine that can feed itself so you don't end up paying for the customers, but they, by buying $5 or $10 offers and multiple upsells and so on, he ended up breaking even already on the front end, and that was a very interesting mindset to look at PPC, particularly for our more higher cost services where if you have to sell people over a year or something, it's very hard to, in the early days at least, to measure the cost of PPC and so on. So building a front end offer or building multiple front end offers at a very low cost to fill up your funnel and to have people to work on. That was definitely a very interesting way of looking at things. And we've been using high level for many years, but we had we had a bunch of the high level guys at our event. One of the co-founders was there, and yeah, that was really interesting as well. We got some good hints and tips both for our event.
Yeah, they're sponsoring ours again this year, and they're doing a lunch and learn the first day.
Yeah,
So, yeah, great bunch of freaking people. We've been using High Level for I think 5 years now. So,
yeah.
um, yeah, so that's pretty awesome. So that's cool. Is this the first year you did sponsors, or you've always done sponsors?
No, we always do sponsors. Yeah,
Okay.
we always do sponsors. But
Last year was our first year we did sponsors. So
yeah,
I like it. It's definitely, I mean, I've had to turn away some of the bigger guys that wanted more control than I was willing to give, so to speak.
sure.
So, but no, it's one of those things that I think, especially one thing that's intriguing about what you guys do over there is, like you said, the pre-events, I mean, I think Matt said he had like 30 something freaking events, some crap going on, when, all these other things. And so that's always been intriguing to me about, how to, get people to, be encouraged to do stuff like that. And,
Yeah.
that's always something that I've always been intrigued about your guys'
it's very interesting. I mean, I think it also helps a little bit. We are so far away because most people want to come a few days early to get rid of the jet lag and stuff like that, right? They don't want to sleep halfway through the first day, so quite a few people do come early. But I would say that for us, the event app definitely helps a bunch because normally it can be hard to coordinate stuff and it can be hard to do all of that. So definitely the event app is an absolute game changer for us, and that's
that's yeah. I mean, it's really neat. I mean, I'm just trying to do a karaoke night, and I'm getting kicked back.
Yeah, we did a good few of those. So.
I think it would be a non-sponsored event. Yeah, I mean, you're free to break out in karaoke at any given point, but I don't know that it's an official SEOST marketing conference event sponsored. I don't know. You gotta love Terry and his ADD that's just throwing stuff at me left and right. I would say, if Randy was gonna ask what's the hardest part, it's managing Terry.
I couldn't believe that one. I'm sure my team will have a similar thoughts.
So. Nice. Exactly.
Nice.
So, well, good deal. So anybody, tickets are still available. Come to spring training the first week or May 1st through the 4th. If you come in early and you like golf, we're golfing on the 30th. So the golf extravaganza is always pretty fun. And this year, the golf course is actually connected to the hotel. So so there's no travel, from the hotel to the golf course, so to speak. Coupon code, use Terry25 for $400 off any of the ticket levels. The cool thing about this year is we're not really limited on the VIP tickets, which is pretty cool. Last year and every year we've been limited because we did the Diamondback game last year and we were limited to 30 people. So this year we're not limited because we're doing in the morning. Marty Marion's going to do a workshop with us in the morning for all the VIP and speakers. And then after Marty's done, E-Rock, Eric, I can't remember his last name.
Eric Christopher,
sorry. He's going to do some things. And then we're also going to get to see a dear friend of ours that passed away last month, James Slatterly. We're going to get to see his PowerPoint presentation that he was unable to give at Dory's event in November at Rockstars. So the VIP and the speakers are going to get to experience that one too. Incredible guy. Anyway, so yes, come, don't miss out. I guarantee I've said this before, if you're not satisfied and you don't think you got value out of this conference, I'll give you your freaking money back. So that's how confident I am about the value and the speakers and the things that hang out. That's what we do. We crazy people think we're nuts when we ask the bar how late do you stay open, and they're like, what do you mean? He said, well, our people drink. Our people don't go traveling down the town. They would rather just hang out around the pool or hang out around wherever and just network and have fun. So it's always a good time. But if you're on the fence and you need to have more encouraging, contact Elisabeth and I, and we can answer all your questions. The room block, though, here's the key. I can't say this enough. The room block is getting ready to close, we think, this week. So all hotels really don't like room blocks because they can sell rooms for more money, obviously. So if you are going to come, even before you get your ticket, even get your room block, because the room block will save you a ton of freaking money. Elizabeth worked out an awesome deal with the hotel. I think the rooms are like $180 a night, which is super cheap for Phoenix. Phoenix is typically, $250 to $500 this time of year. So get your room at the discounted rate. Everybody's staying at that same hotel, so you're going to be able to hang out with everybody. And yeah, anything else, Elisabeth, about?
Typically, our speakers are all there on property, and everybody is welcome to hang out, reach out, talk, network, connect. If anyone is wanting to be introduced to somebody, let me know. I'm happy to introduce you around and make those connections, because I think that that's where the real value is. You know, like Mads was saying about his event, is that networking is more than worth in anything that you can pay for a ticket price. You know, to be in the same room as the same people, to talk to them, ask them questions. You get a lot of candid answers, especially in the off times. You know, slip a bourbon or two in Terry's hand, and he'll give you the whole world. I promise. He's very generous.
Probably, yeah, and I'll get yelled at afterwards. So, you did what?
You told what?
So, but anyways, everybody, thanks for joining us today. Thank you, Matt, for taking the time out. I know the time difference and everything. I don't know what time it is over there, but probably bedtime.
1 a.m.
1 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
You're awesome for doing this with us. I super appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you and your better half here pretty soon.
Yes.
I know. Ani is amazing. She's such a powerhouse. What a great couple you guys are.
She is. I'm the lucky one. That's for sure.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And we are going to do another one tomorrow with hopefully some more speakers. And then we're also going to do one on Thursday. So we'll announce those as they get closer. But please, please, please come to spring training, meet our family, and hang out and have fun and get your questions answered, your challenges, all that stuff. So if you want to learn about what you should be doing or what you're doing wrong, come to spring training. So anyways, thank you, everybody. Have an awesome week.
Cheers, guys.